Hi.
Hello.
Hi.
We were having a little after session, and Laura said that she wished she had shared something.
Yeah, I wish I had shared how I found out about Sherry, which was my sister called me, told me, Dad's going to call you with a secret. And then I had to pretend during that phone call that I did not know. And then it was explained to me that I have a child from a previous relationship. I never thought that it would ever be an issue again. And then I asked questions. How old is this person? Male, female, and I was told it was a daughter. She's 11 years older than you. Her birth, actually, I think I was told your birthday and year, and that he was in the service when it happened, and was pretty sure that a baby was born and that it was a female baby because he received a letter, but then was not like allowed to be a part of that child's life, and that I said, okay. And I said, how's mom taking this? And he's like, well, we're not really telling her. We're not really telling her. Oh, okay. So then it turns out that entire episode with the piano and the bags of clothing for my daughter that were thrown over the back was all her love dumping basically on us, because in the background she had this 2 to 3 weeks with him where she looked at his browser, found out that he was corresponding with someone, saw it was a woman, went back through, and then figured out what was going on. Whereas she thought she was being cheated on with, maybe he was going to the gym. That's the only place he's going. That isn't church with me. Like, thought that there was someone at the gym, maybe.
Right.
Yep. So when this all happened, I spoke with her because she was had very, very strong feelings about not dealing with Sherry, or didn't want my sister and I to speak with Sherry. But like, why? Okay.
Sherry, what made you decide to?
What made me decide to was the boundaries in my own person. Like, I knew that you could get something positive out of this. This doesn't have to be negative. We don't have to focus on the perspective of someone else. So I had asked her, and I said, and it still comes up in conversation, because if we're going to Florida, she'll be like, oh, are you going to see Sherry when you're in Florida? And I said, do you want me to tell you the truth? Because I will tell you, like, we're going down there for this event, this conference. It's in the same town that Sherry's in. I'll probably have dinner with her. And then I said, she'll ask me a question and the answer is going to involve Sherry. And I say, this is triggering. Yeah, I am triggered. She goes, yeah, it does trigger me when you talk about Sherry. And I was like, well, it shouldn't. So the mentality there, from all I can parse it because I can't understand it, is that he was so giddy and happy to come and email Sherry. And it was this part of his life that was a very positive thing. And he was keeping it from her. And when she found out about what it was, she got mad at him, and she said, not, hey, you didn't tell me the truth, this woman that you've been married to for decades. She came to him and said, you're so giddy and thrilled to create a relationship with this daughter when the 2 daughters that you raised, my daughters, which I think there's a big ownership thing there.
Does your dad ever ask about your relationship with Sherry?
He does, but he does it secretly. So if she's out of the room, I'll say something like, oh, I did just speak with Sherry, and, this is going on in her life. Or I just saw her, last October or whatever. Like, oh, I just saw her, and then we did this, and it was really fun. Or she came here to visit me in New York City, and we did these different things. And he gets really interested because it's his only connection.
Yeah. Because we don't email anymore. Yeah. He's not allowed to me, but Laura occasionally will tell me, Dad would really like to get an email with you, maybe with some pictures.
You mean his wife won't allow him to email you?
Correct. When he said that thing to you that said the wheels were going to come off, that specific thing he said, how you understood it and how, from me knowing him, how he meant it are 2 different things.
How so?
So Sherry, share what you thought that meant. Because you felt threatened by it, which
I did.
Is what I read in the book.
I felt like he was saying that if I contacted my sisters, that my relationship with him was over. That was a threat. I could either continue to email with him or I could contact them, but that he was going to have nothing to do with me if I contacted them.
So I wish I knew which one predated, but I think he told me about you after Mom figured you out. He had to come clean to us at that point. He was stuck because something's triggering the episode. And then he went to you and said, after the conversation I had with him, he went to you and said, don't contact them. Because initially he was like, oh, it's great. Laura's going to love this. I'll do this for her. This is
She's always wanted a bigger family. Yeah.
Yes. That's where that came from. And then when I wouldn't do what he wanted me to do, he never sent that email. He never called me back about it. Time just passed. And just crickets.
And this whole time, I had the information I needed to contact both of you.
Right, but you didn't.
I did
because
not.
of fear. Because
I wanted to get as much information from him as I could before the wheels fell off.
Right. Oh, okay.
And then when it automatically slowed down and then trickled to nothing, I was like,
he
okay.
basically told you it was going to be a dead end.
Yeah.
He basically told you that the end is in sight. It's a finite thing.
Yeah.
But based on her reaction to his deep, dark secret that he'd held for decades. And then for me, when I would not do what he told me to do, and he started to get suspicious and think on it, he was like, she's not going to shut up. And he knows me. He's like, she's not going to censor anything. I've told him about 1 billion times, like with our own daughter, like, it's not like we show her the worst of anything, but we've never really censored stuff because I lived in a heavily censored world.
Yeah. I am realistic at this point with how much it takes to create a relationship with siblings that you don't have a history with. And I have struggled at that so much. But I live my life thinking if I was on my deathbed, what would I regret not doing?
Right.
If I was on my deathbed, I would regret not having at least one conversation with Eva, not knowing what I could even get out of one conversation. Just, I never spoke with our biological father. I never met him, but I'm okay with that. Like, I don't have unrealistic expectations at this point.
Would you still like to speak to him or meet him?
No. I feel like for everybody involved that it's the way it is probably the best. Yeah.
Laura, has it been worth it going through all of this?
Well, something to
talking about me.
Not anything else.
No. Sherri has been having a relationship with Sherri has been overwhelmingly positive. And I'm glad that she reached out to me because after I realized that email was never coming from him, I was like, okay, well, I'll do this myself. And I got Ancestry. Well, actually I got the Ancestry thing later to try to figure out, but I went on Facebook and I'm like, I know a town. And then I realized you could spell Sherri like 4 different ways. And then I'm like, I don't have a last name, but I have a town.
And a big town.
Yeah. And then I Googled and I poked around and I looked at this and I'm looking at faces of strangers and these tiny pixelated thumbnails trying to figure out, does this person look like me? Does this person look like Dad?
Yep.
Like, who is this person? I knew that somehow piano was involved in your life since that piano almost got delivered to my house. She's musically inclined. Oh, and he was very proud of the fact that you had married a preacher.
Oh, my ex-husband.
He was very proud of the fact that you were an extremely Christian woman
Trish.
who had married a preacher.
No, we're not. No. We're just.
But in the 4 bullet points of what he wanted to share with me, the sibling, he was like the musically inclined,
okay,
the married to a preacher, but divorced, not from her own fault, but from his fault. And then the mother of 4 kids, and then my beloved little Sadie, he said, my beloved girl, precious Sadie. And then I was like, have you met Sadie? And I was like, why would he be saying my precious whatever? And then he drops.
Laura, you have to understand Sadie's part mine.
Okay. With the blonde hair. Yeah.
Yeah,
definitely. I just keep telling you, that part's mine.
Yeah. It's surprising you two aren't related, honestly.
Actually, we thought for our whole lives we probably would be. I don't know if Sherri's told you, but even growing up, like we took art classes together and went to school together and hung out some. And, it's not
both have the one long toe.
It's not like we were tied at the hip or anything, but,
it could very well be. People end up dating their own siblings. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a big
another episode too. Right.
But I think one of the good things about being adopted is I think at least for us has been more natural, I think, than a lot of people, because we realized early on that family is the people that you are close with. Yes, we have relatives.
Right.
We found a lot of relatives, but we both only found, Sherri found a ton, but a handful of family.
10.
And it's like there's a big difference between people you're related to, whether you're adopted related, marriage related,
right,
or actually DNA related. There's room for everybody. And that's one of the things I think that I personally would like other people to really understand is a lot of adoptees don't want anything but to know you and to know where they come from and to know what that family history is. And for me, the medical information was huge because I've had medical issues all my life.
Sherri too.
No idea what, which direction to go. And, having those kind of things has been just amazingly important. And I know with Sherri, that's been really important too, to have that. And granted, we're older now, but to have that for your kids going down too is also because
that seems like a practical thing they could build into adoptions these days, where like,
and I think they might.
They do.
Yeah, that's essential.
But all of those things that Trish just said would be things that I would want our other sister to know. Like I'm part of the genetic. I'm 10 years older than she is. Like I could, tell her what my physical experience with menopause is, or physically, or whatever. Or
one thing about like when we were starting our journey with childbearing, I had and kept close to me my mother's birth stories as a predictor for how my birth story was going to go. Right. And that she was very proud of not having a C-section, of having a drug-free labor. And that I knew that was doable. That was a thing that physically I should be able to do because I came from her and she did this. Right. And then that's what I did. And it was excellent. Right.
Yeah.
But I had that confidence and everything was going to go well because I was laying it on some piece of evidence that I knew. But I like, my heart hurts for you guys that you ever look at an absence of information in your earlier life, or where you came from, or who made you, and why did they give you up? Because it seems like the ideal situation is they don't give you up. So why did they have to give you up? And then to not have answers, any kind of answers.
Well, I never look at it as whether it's the ideal situation or not, because at this point, there's not a damn thing we can do to change it.
This is true. And you have to come to terms with that.
Yeah, I still wanted to know. But
like, it shouldn't be a real bad.
Right.
Yeah, because it could be as simple, like from the outside of adoption, all I ever thought about with it, and like I have friends that are adopted and things, all I ever thought about it was that somebody got pregnant and didn't plan it, which, oh my God, almost everybody I know is an unplanned pregnancy. It seems like now that I'm an adult and I'm looking around, I'm like, wait a second, like all of my friends have unplanned kids.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So, and it's like, well, it's not like that we weren't trying, but we weren't not trying, like that conversation. But so somebody was going to end up with a bundle of joy, and whatever their circumstance was, they could not raise that baby.
Yep.
And it's as simple as that. That's how I always thought of adoption.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you're young, or you're not with that partner anymore, or
and that's what we were told.
you're in college. You're in college. You can't
Mm-hmm.
raise a baby and be in college.
Yep.
Do you want to live
what
under a bridge in a box?
are the pre-Roe v. Wade adoptions, which is what we are.
Right.
That's what we were told. And
they loved us so much that they gave us to a family because they couldn't.
But the reality is that the young people who were getting pregnant either immediately got married in high school and then weren't registered as, unwed mothers' pregnancies or whatever.
Right.
Or they went away to these homes and they were forced to give them up. And we had an episode with my birth mom, and she just said there were no resources. There were no options. She didn't have a choice.
If her mother hadn't forced her, she could have stayed living with her mother, and the two of them kind of tag team raised you.
But her mother would not.
Or like Jack Nicholson, where he was his sister's kid and raised by his grandmother.
But her mother is the one who arranged my adoption.
And I had the same situation where my birth mother and my grandmother wanted to keep me. But her dad, my grandfather, said no.
Because men had the final say.
Right.
And
that's crazy.
It was a very different world.
Yeah. And my dad, my birth dad said that he didn't say. My birth mother said that when my dad found out that she was pregnant, she literally had no idea what happened to him or anything until I showed up.
Wow.
So he was not a factor at all, and his family was not a factor at all. Mm-hmm. But I had a ton of information, and I think we've talked about this in other places and probably will again, where I had lots of information on my unidentifying paperwork that was so
wrong,
not true. I mean,
weird. Why would they put anything down if it wasn't?
I don't know.
Somebody said something.
I would have rather had. We don't know.
I think to sell it. Just to make it look
good. My mom used to always say that, you want a good kid from a good family. And it's like, oh,
like a shelter puppy.
Right.
Yeah, it's like, no, we're all humans and we're all different. And maybe that's the generation we grew up in, that I'm certainly not going to judge somebody by their parents.
But if my own story is any consolation, like, it's insanely complicated. Like, this one did this to that one, and then this one responded this way, and around in a circle. And it's like 15 different core players that all did stuff.
Yep.
That all had trickle down.
And some of them weren't even my biological connection. Like I said, I feel like I know your mom, and I feel like she's part of my story. Well, technically she is part of my story. She is. Not my biological story.
I know she's had a huge hand in my whole everything. Like more than 50%. Based on, how involved my father was or wasn't when I was growing up. Like, she was the primary raiser of me and my sister. Like, she is the glue of the family.
Right.
And then when that person doesn't function the way you expect them to, or becomes like an eccentric character with impulses that you can't predict are coming.
Right.
The whole family is altered, and we've been altered.
Yeah.
Well,
we've been altered.
I think we've been very lucky, both Sherri and I. And I know my heart breaks that this is not the situation for everybody. But even with all the pluses and minuses and I don't know, division marks and multiplication marks and whatever we've got that have made it complicated, it's still been life-changing in a way that I did not expect. Because Sherri was the one that wanted to look. I had kind of considered it now and again, but I was not completely sold. And, it's very hard to tell Sherri no. I mean, I'm not a weak person, but, she's pretty drugged me by my toenails. And I'm so glad that she did, because I have such a different sense, and I have a feeling of being grounded and connected that I never had before. So even if I'm not allowed to know, anybody else on my mom's side, at least I know kind of who they are. I've got a little bit of backstory. I have a connection where I don't feel like I was dropped from the sky as an alien. And that's good. And one of the things I find interesting about like open adoption, closed adoption, semi-open adoption, et cetera, is learning all the stuff that we've learned through the years, through whether it's reading, talking to people, our own lived experiences, that type of thing, is it's not only just the situation, there's personalities, there's, experiences, there's all kinds of things that shape it. But I love that it seems like now there seems to be more room overall to provide help for the mothers that do give their children.
Society's progressed a bit. Yes.
Being able to even just know that, if you get a picture once a year, at least you have some reassurance that child, because the one thing we thought, well, did they really forget us? And now having, my own daughter, I can't imagine a day go by that I don't think about her the rest of my life.
So in my own life, right, I was a gestational surrogate for a gay couple. And I birthed that baby. And he is not mine. He is not my egg. He is not my seed. Like, I carried him, but he wouldn't exist if I didn't agree to carry him and have a connection to his dad's. He's in my mind because I just saw him the other day. He's 12 now. When people ask me, do you have kids? I say, I have two. I have a boy and a girl. Like, when I gave birth to him, I looked at his face and it totally floored me that he didn't look like my daughter. Right? Because your brain knows, but there's brain,
body
right?
Doesn't.
Yeah. Your
Head
brain knows something,
heart
but your
knowledge.
heart doesn't know something.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, so, there's all that time with them. I mean, they are a part of you for a better part of, 9 months.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, and then she even nursed him there for a week or so. Yeah. And you still see them. Yep.
I just saw them. Long lapses will happen because everybody's busy and we live a bit apart. But I just saw him and he continues to, like, now as he's getting into his adolescence, he'll ask me questions. He'll be like, I'll tell him, yes, he knows who I am. He knows the role that I had. One of his dads did an excellent job being like, when you were in Laura's belly, we would come see you and we made sure that she ate mangoes because you wanted mangoes. And he loves those stories. He loves those stories. I was like, my pregnancy with Eva, this is what I craved. But with this boy, I ate gobstoppers and I cried in my car and I listened to Outkast on like full blast because he would kick and kick and kick. And it was so entertaining to me. And like, he clearly loved music. He still loves music. And him and I were connected for a little while. He was my little parasite. And now that he's out of my body and he has biological traits and nurturing traits of his dad's, who he is biologically related to, he's got a family fabric that's different from the fabric, but I am part of that. I'm woven in there too. And he's like, this last time I told him, he gave me cavities because the babies, they live in their little tank. They're so protected. And if you don't put in your body what they need, they take it from you. Mm-hmm. And I said, so both you and Eva gave me cavities when I was pregnant. And I said, you're welcome. You're welcome for my calcium because I gave it to you and it's still in your body. Like, that's really cool. That's really cool.
Do you feel that the experience of having children made it easier to relate to what your dad might have been going through, having she show up?
I have never understood how a parent could just see ya. And when they find out that their girlfriend is pregnant and that it's been socially acceptable for so long for men to just bye, or to then doubt, oh, are we even sure that this is mine and you didn't sleep with someone else? I have never understood. Maybe it's because the relationship of a mother to their baby is like a long-term intimacy. The baby comes out of you and you have a hormonal, like when the little boy was born and I was holding on to him, my hamster mama brain was telling me no one else can take care of this kid. If he goes with someone else, he's going to die. You have to keep him. But I did not want a child rationally. I had one already that I was deeply invested in. I did not want to go through any of that early baby stuff where you're sleep deprived and your body isn't yours and someone's climbing all over you all the time. I don't want any of that. I didn't want to be stuck at home. I was in the middle of school for a second career. I really did just want him to get in the car with them and leave. Mentally, that's how I felt. But emotionally, I was like, my arms won't unclench this little child. Like I could almost make him an afterthought to everything else I was doing. I'll just slip him under my clothes. He'll sleep against my skin. I'll feed him occasionally. Nobody will even know he's there. Heart knowledge and head knowledge.
I'm going to ask the forbidden question, if that's okay.
Uh-oh.
And I want a real answer.
From who?
Do you feel related to Sherri?
Do I feel related to you? Yeah. Yeah, I think so. You know what's weird, though? Because with the kids, I don't feel related to the kids.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Kids.
Yeah.
Your kids, yeah.
Okay.
Well, but like, I think part of that is you and I have made
kids.
Right. But I think Trish and I have made that history. We have those experiences.
Yeah.
And,
yes.
Even
your
it's
kids
been
don't know a time we didn't know each other. So
right.
And that's why you feel like an auntie.
Yeah.
Yes.
Rather than a sister.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. But for Laura and I have made the relationship. But for the kids, it's been much harder.
Right.
It's been,
like there's a child I haven't met yet. Had an opportunity, was right on the other side of the door, but he didn't want to come out.
Mm-hmm.
And
that was busy doing whatever. And yeah, you're right.
But
that was.
But I don't have any of the history. Yes. So just the carrot of you coming out, shaking my hand, maybe a little half hug and saying, like that child, though, I have talked to on the phone, and that was an experience. I felt like I got a pretty good sample of a personality there from just that phone call where I was like, whoa, that's a lot.
But Sherri, do you feel related?
I do. But I think, like we were saying earlier, like we've always been adopted.
As far as the forbidden question of do you feel related? I know that when we share stories, because like my side, even though there's a lot of stuff like that happened and things, it's pretty chill. Like there's no new anything. Everything's just kind of copacetic. And Dad doesn't really contribute to additional things that are happening now, like memory making now, like I said, with the reminiscence and everything. Like he just keeps going along in the same paths that he was in. And when I'm talking to you, Sherri, and you ask questions about the family and you share questions from your maternal side, the feeling that I've been just getting from learning about them, which is super weird to learn about your dad's old girlfriend,
right?
We're like Pokemon.
Yeah, I guess it is.
We friended each other on Pokemon for a while, and I was like, maybe I shouldn't be Pokemon friends with my dad's old girlfriend, who I've never met.
Well, but you've also met my maternal siblings.
Yes, I have. And you know what? When I see you with them, maybe it's proximity of where you live, but there's a sense of belonging where I feel like you belong more to your maternal side than you do to the paternal side. Like, I feel like I'm just sort of, no?
Oh, it's 50-50.
Well, maybe it's my biases related to the maternal connection.
I think physically, definitely, Sherri looks more like her mom's side. But personality-wise, the two of you, oh yeah.
Right.
Well, like personality-wise, like you definitely have a different vein of thinking, and you're like,
similar.
Yeah, I don't think all of our beliefs go completely hand in hand, but I can see where you're coming from a lot more than I can with many people. Like whatever your flavor is, it works for me.
But like how you carry yourselves, the way you talk, the things you joke about, your comfort together.
The
way you both
seems old
is oddly similar.
So like old friends kind of thing.
Yeah. It's like I could see it if I didn't know that you hadn't known each other. it wouldn't surprise me if she said, hey, this is my cousin from New York, blah, blah, blah. We've known each other our whole lives just because of the age difference.
So that is sort of my foundation for looking at adoption. Like Sherri exists. She's out there and she's related to me and she's related to my older sister and she's related to her 8-something siblings on the other side. And even if I didn't know that, not knowing doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Right. So like all the incidental cancer finds because somebody got in a car accident and then it turns out, and yeah, of course, finding cancer is a little different than having another connection to a family member. But like, if it's there, I want to know it's there.
Right.
And
I do too.
Turning a blind eye to it or putting your head in the sand like an ostrich doesn't make it not exist. Like it's still there. So that's why, even if it's bad, I wanted to talk to Sherri.
And I get that. I'm happy she found you. I really am. But I'm just not willing to risk.
Oh, I'm not trying to change your mind. I'm not trying to change your mind. It is 100% your experience.
Yeah. And I'm also very glad my sister found me because I had no idea she existed at all on my dad's side. Oh. And I've only known her a little more than a year and we're already scheduling our second meetup for the holidays.
That's excellent.
Yeah. It's been nice to get to know her. And
are you going to interview her?
I hope so.
More investment in the relationship and
I hope so. Yeah. But she's had a lot going on in the past year. But yeah, I hope it becomes kind of a regular thing that we get to see each other now and again. It's been very interesting. But like I said, everybody's got to make that decision on their own. And I certainly 100%. Respect whether it's from the parental side, the adoptive parent side, or
there's a lot more facets to this than just the parent and the child. There's a lot more facets. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like in this story, your niece got pulled in, your brother-in-law that you didn't know, like all these people.
Yeah, it's crazy. But it's also kind of the thing that's been really, really fascinating, and to see how it's affected the people, not only us and the people that we found, but to see how that has rippled out into other people going, hey, how did it work out for you? Tell me about it. Yeah. Hey, how does the new stuff work? Tell me about it. Hey, do you think I could? Tell me about it.
And also just seeing something successful being a little bit of okay, it's not a guarantee that what you go through is going to be successful, but just so you know, it's not all bad. It's not always a sad situation. It's just a timestamp of where our culture was, what was socially acceptable, what was hidden. And, in order to look good next to the Joneses, maybe you didn't tell people that your 17-year-old daughter was pregnant. Yep. And you just, And
I'm not sure that has completely changed either.
No, I'm sure not.
Yeah.
I'm sure not. Yeah.
But it is better.
Yeah. I know quite a few families who have, generally it's a drugs thing where somebody has a baby and can't take care of it because of drugs. But the family member, because we actually looked into adoption after our daughter, because my husband was set on only one biological child, but he didn't say siblings were off the table. And I had a very strong drive to have additional children. So I said, well, let's look into adoption because you were in a situation where you could have used the help growing up with the neglect that you had. You should have been pulled out of that home. And I was in a situation where, I was being raised by people, but I could have used like stronger role models in my immediate community that would step in, like to babysit or whatever. Like I had some neighbors, I guess. But I said, let's look at adoption. And I found it like we were just coming up with a kid of our own with college debt. And it was extremely prohibitive with both time and finances. And if that process had been any easier or any more affordable, we would have had 2 kids like that. So we looked at foster to adopt, and actually where we were, they frowned on that. We went so far as to have a home visit, and they said, we are very proud in this county, the guy told me, this guy who had adopted his biological grandchildren because his daughter had done drugs or something and couldn't care for them. He's like, we're very proud in this county to have a 90% reunion rate. And I looked at him and I was like, what do you mean? And he said, 90% of the time, you will be fostering a child that will go back to its biological. Now, that it is important that people have that biological tie, but how important?
Right.
Because my husband would tell you, not that important.
Right.
What was more important was all the people that stepped up, the parents of the families that more raised him and took care of him and fed him and bought him shoes. The people whose couches he slept on when his dad locked him out and everything else. In the formative of, he saw happy marriages, not from his own parents, but from the parents of his friends. And that is a foundation that was built that I am benefiting from in our relationship now, being married almost 20 years. Thank God for them. Incredibly grateful. You know what I mean? Like, because you take a person who went through something, they might repeat it, or they might grow and do totally different from what they were raised in.
Right.
And he saw what he wanted and he went for it.
Yep. Okay. Well, I guess that's it for now.
No, that's excellent.
Until next time. Thank you, Laura, for being on the show.
Thank you so much.
And we're Trish and Sherri, and this is Found with Trish and Sherri, the podcast. Thank you for joining us.